MacVoices TV at Macworld 2010 is sponsored by Smile on My Mac, the makers of great productivity software like PDF Pen, Text Expander, and Disk Label. Visit them at smileonmymac.com. Welcome to MacVoices TV. I'm Chuck Joyner, and I'm at Macworld 2010, and I'm with Don McAllister of ScreenCastsOnline. Don, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Chuck, as always.
It always is fun. I'm so glad you made the trip over for the show.
Yeah, it's well worth the trip. It's a long way, but it's great to see all my friends and colleagues in the podcasting space, and it's been a good show this year as well.
I've got to find a reason to come over and see you next time, because it seems like you're always coming to my side of the pond.
That's right, yeah, my annual pilgrimage this is, so yeah, it's good.
Okay, so ScreenCastsOnline just rolls along. It keeps getting better. There have been a few changes. Give us a quick introduction and tell us what's new.
Yeah, well, ScreenCastsOnline, it's a weekly video podcast, and I still cover all the latest and greatest Mac software. I cover Apple software. I cover using the Mac itself, so OS X. But I tend to look at a lot of third-party software that's not covered anywhere else. So it really just helps people get the most out of the Mac, so they can learn more about what's the latest and greatest. And I sort of take them through a half-hour tutorial each week on how to use particular pieces of software. And people seem to find that it's really a tremendous boon to them, because not only do they learn about new software, but I show them how to use it as well, and I also seek out the latest software as well. So people tend to look at it as not just a tutorial, but also a way of a friend showing them, what's available and what they could use.
What I like so much about what you do is you cover the obvious. You cover the iLife suite and the iWork suite and those kind of things. You also, though, pick some products that maybe not a lot of us are deadly familiar with, or that we're already using and we just could really use some help on learning to use better.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. One of the things that surprised me about the Mac when I first started using the Mac was just the sheer amount of software that's available out there. So what I tend to do now is, and I only really cover applications that I like myself, and I would recommend to other people. So, I'm a fervent Mac fan, so I'm using tons of software all the time. And because I do it full time now, I'm always seeking out new software as well. So, it's a really nice way for people to learn about new stuff. A lot of people don't have the time to seek out the latest software. And even if they do find it, they really don't know how to use it, or perhaps the documentation isn't very good. And I seem to have a knack of just sort of drilling down to the core functionality of a product and then drawing that out as part of the screencast. So I get lots of feedback from people, really enjoying how I deliver my particular style of training, really.
Well, you're always very modest about it, but your production skills just stun the rest of us, because I've just started playing with video, as you can tell, and I've learned just how challenging it can be, and what you produce, the way you produce it, the volume you produce is amazing.
Yeah, it's quite an effort, because I do a full show every week, and each show is about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. But I've been doing it for now full time for about 3.5 years, 4 years. So I've started to build up a lot of experience in how to actually use the screencasting technology, because it's slightly different from normal video in that it is the capture of the desktop with just my spoken voice over the top, and that's a whole different area, different techniques you have to use, different sort of tricks and tips I've learned on how to focus in on various parts of software applications and pull the best out of it, really. Yeah.
But unlike some others out there, you just don't do a straight screen capture. Again, you add a lot of the production elements. You add a lot of enhancements that improve the learning process.
Yeah, I mean, each show takes probably 3 to 4 days in a week to produce. It's a lot of effort, and there's a whole, it's not just a stream of consciousness thing. I think about how to approach a particular software package. I spend time doing preparation, and then the recording part is actually very minor. That only takes an hour or two to record it, but then there's a couple of days of post-production then of bringing out, sort of editing, focusing in on various areas, adding animations, adding titles and stuff. So at the end of it, it's a pretty high production value show that I produce at the end of the week, really. Yeah.
Now, you know how time gets away from us all. It seems like you just started this, but maybe you've been doing it for a while. The Mac Montage shows, which are smaller pieces of more programs, and that is really nice, because there's some programs that are so beneficial, but they really couldn't fill up a whole half hour.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, for the first couple of years, I just did sort of big topics or single applications, but there's loads of hints and tips, and there's loads of smaller utilities and smaller applications that, as you say, don't really warrant a show of their own. So I do these Mac Montage shows probably once every 6 weeks, and I just cram together 5 or 6 different hints and tips and put them out, and people really seem to like those as well. well, and it's a nice change from just a full show about one particular topic.
And of course, the other thing you do is you make your shows available in a variety of resolutions for almost every device you can think of.
Yeah, there's actually two parts to the show. There's the free part, so anyone can actually come to the website and subscribe to the free feed, and they will get a single show every month. So there's a completely free show every month that people can download, and that's in sort of not quite high definition, but still really clear, crystal clear quality, and that's 960 by 540, and also an iPod version. But I also do a membership scheme, so people can become Screencast Online extra members, and what that entails is it's a very low cost sort of subscription, and then you get a show every week. Now that show every week is a full high definition resolution, so 1280 by 720, plus all the other resolutions as well. There's various different resolutions, but you do get a show every week, and you also get chapter marks, so it's easy to navigate. You can build up a library of the shows over time. In fact, if you do become a member, you actually get access to an existing library of over 200 shows now that I've created over the past couple of years, and as soon as people become members, they can actually access that, download it. There's no DRM, so that once they've downloaded it, they can keep the shows, and it becomes a real, really interesting resource for people, because you might want to watch everything straight away. You might. I actually use some of the shows myself. I don't use iMovie that much. I use Final Cut Pro, but when I do need to use iMovie, invariably I go back to my own shows and just refresh my memory as to how to use it properly, because at the time I had to research it and do a great tutorial on it. So people have this archive and they can just dip in and dip out whenever they want. So it's really useful.
And I want to highlight that, because that may be the crown jewel of being a Screencast Online member, is the archive. The new shows are great, but you have an amazing reference library already built.
It's the best of both worlds, because you learn about the new stuff and there's a brand new show every week, but you've got this big archive of material that you can just dip into any time. You can also download it and keep it, or you can go to my website, the members website, and you can stream it from the website if you want, if you don't want to do a huge download. And also members get access to DVDs as well, so all the shows are available on DVD. So like people in Australia, they might have data caps and they can't download everything, so they can just actually buy the DVDs at a fairly reasonable price and keep that archive on disc as well if they want.
Interesting comment about the Australian data caps. You really do have a global audience.
Oh, very much so, yeah. Every continent, really. It's wherever people use Macs and they have an English-speaking language, I've got members all over the world, and it's fantastic. That people get so much benefit from what I do, and it's so widely spread as well.
And because you didn't have enough to do and had so much time on your hands, now I think you've been doing some little video comments on YouTube.
Yeah, I thought when I started, I've got a great face for radio, so I didn't really want to appear on screen. So recently, I've sort of changed my mind, and people, I've got more used to appearing on camera. So I've started to do a YouTube channel called ScreenCastsOnline, and in there I do video comments. I also put some hints and tips on there as well, so there's several different playlists that people can subscribe to. And yeah, that seems to be going really well. People are enjoying those. So it's more work, it's hard to do, but I've been doing a few from Macworld this year and just posting them up, so people get the flavour of what it's like to actually come to Macworld, and people seem to really enjoy them. It's good.
The Screencast Online empire expands.
Yes, indeed.
Don, how about, you talked about the memberships and all, what kind of pricing are we talking about?
Right, well, I've always tried to keep it fairly low, so it's not a barrier to people, and the membership currently is $57, but that's for a 3-month subscription. So at the end of that, that's not a lock-in, you can just try it for 3 months for $57. You do get access to all the shows as well, so you get access to the full back catalogue, and then after the 3 months, if you like what I do, you can continue a subscription for $25 for another 6 months, and again, that's a show every week for 6 months for $25. If you really like it and you want to be subscribed for longer, it actually gets even cheaper then, because there's 12 months, 2 years, and 5-year membership rates as well. But it's for what you get, a 30 or 40-minute video tutorial every week. I think it's a relatively low-cost option.
Oh, and of course, we love to tease you that you have the secret weapon when it comes to doing this stuff.
Which is?
Your accent.
Oh, right. Yeah, people seem to like the accent. I'm not a trained broadcaster or anything. It's just something I've picked up on. But yeah, I come from Liverpool in the UK, and the accent seems to be well loved by people all over the place, especially in the States as well. They seem to like the English accent, so no, that's good. And it's also opened other doors as well. I'm on Mac Break Weekly, I'm on MacVoices, I'm on the Mac Roundtable, so there's other podcasts as well that I get involved in, so it's good.
It's always a pleasure. In case the website is not obvious,
ScreenCastsOnline.com.
Don, it's good to see you. It always is. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Cheers, Chuck.
I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices TV. We are on the show floor at Macworld 2010. Thanks for watching. MacVoices TV at Macworld 2010 is sponsored by Smile on My Mac, the makers of great productivity software like PDF Pen, Text Expander, and Disk Label. Visit them at smileonmymac.com. MacVoices TV is part of the MacVoices group and a member of Mac Level 10.